Oh, y'all, welcome to March Madness. Anytime I think about March Madness, I think about basketball, but this is a whole different type of madness. So I'm Dr. Brett Brimhall. I'm here in the Mesa, Phoenix area. I'm a chiropractor, been practicing for 25 years, and you're here to learn about LifeVantage. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll really thank individuals that invited you here because it wasn't too long ago, 10 years ago, I started my journey in LifeVantage. And yes, this is a network marketing company, something I never saw myself doing. But 11 years ago, a patient came into me, his diagnosis with autism. But I want you to scratch that and think about this. This little guy came into me at 3 years old, and he spent 35 hours of his week with therapists, struggling with learning, struggling with behavior, struggling to integrate society. He's doing all this extra therapy on top of that. And his mom was sent to me from a clinician that I had trained who lived in Iowa. She traveled an hour each way every week to come see me to try to help this little guy just be able to progress. It was like Groundhog Day for him. Everything you try to teach him something, and it wouldn't stick. So I found myself doing what we do is I built the systems with my dad called the Six Steps to Wellness. I've trained physicians since 1995 on this system of wellness care. Part of that is vitamin mineral supplements that my dad and I have created, over 200 of them. So when we look for a natural product, we would normally make it. Well, going through this process, this little guy, he was making a little progress, but really, really slow. A year into it, mom did everything we asked her to do. He made enough progress where he understood that he was different. But on his testing, he is still the bomb of his class in behavior and learning. And he noticed that he's different because he said to his mom, "Mom, I just want to be smart like my brother." Now, as a father of four, this broke my heart because I thought, what else can I do? I just told his mom, we just got to keep going. Now, his mom was part of this company, LifeVantage, and I thought I knew what they were, this natural company that made vitamins, but I looked at some of them, they just didn't look that special. Well, his mom brought a product in that the company was launching. It looked like this. It's called Axial. And I looked at the ingredients, and it was being marketed as a healthy energy drink. And she says, I think I want to give this to my child because I'm being told this helped address brain fatigue. And I'm a little smart aleck sometimes. And I say, well, yeah, let's give a hyper 4-year-old an energy drink. That just makes sense. Now, as soon as those words came in my mouth, I wish I hadn't, because in medicine, a lot of times we give individuals that struggle with learning and behavior, a stimulant. I said, well, I looked at the ingredients, and again, in my mind, I said it just doesn't look that special. Well, I'm glad his mom listened to her mom heart and not me. 11 days into him starting this product, he came in and he did something for the first time he'd never done before. He sat still. Normally, I'd have to like put everything up on high shelves, hide it from him. I'd have to put him in front of a TV just to be able to work on him. He came in, he sat on my table for 15 minutes. I was able to work on him. I had a conversation with him where it was on point. His verbal skills improved over 50% in 11 days. It didn't make any sense to me at all based upon the ingredients. Well, that was the beginning of his new beginning. He from that on, he just started progressing like you would expect people to do. You expect people to learn, remember, retain, and recall, and progress, and that's what he started doing. So much so that in 6 months' time, he went from the bottom of his class to the top of his class, being used as the peer model for behavior. And 6 months later, they started him into a brand new school, normal school, no extra time for classes or tests. And this little guy's been rocking it 10 years later. He's in a normal school, honor roll ever since. Now, that was the beginning for me to where it just didn't make sense to me. I'm going to share a couple of slides with you. I want to show you a couple of things because I had other people in my life that had struggled and I wasn't able to help the way I wanted to. A couple of these were my own nephews. And so this is the Axial Brain Drink. And when I gave this to one of my nephews who had struggled since he was a little guy, I'd worked with him since he was born, and he just struggled with it, just focusing in school. He'd have to stand at recesses all the time. This is his handwriting. And then 2 weeks after being on what's called Protandim Nerve 2 and Axial, that was his handwriting. But he went from one of those kids that have to stay in at recess and having to play on his own to a kid became ultra successful in school. And every time I think about that individual story, I can think about how many other kids have struggled out there. But I had to eat my words because I've been, as a physician, I've trained physicians for, 30 years now. I could make products. I never thought I'd represent a product that we didn't make. Well, when I saw that result, I found myself on an airplane on a week's notice to meet the scientist to kind of get my questions answered because the ingredients didn't look that special. What I didn't understand at the time was the way these are products are made actually activate your bodies to do what it's designed to do. It turns the gene switches on inside your body to do the optimal performance that they should. So the first product they made was called Protandim Nerve 2. This product, when it gets in your body, it turns on the healthy parts of your cells to get rid of the bad guys. It reduces what's called oxidative stress, which is like rust to us, reduces it by 40% in 30 days. Now, this product's been studied intensely. You can look at over 30 published studies on a place called PubMed.gov. As cool as that was, I didn't know anything about it until what I saw in that little guy. And as a clinician, as I saw that result in that individual, and then many of my other patients and my own relatives, I had to first say to myself, like, what kind of person would I be if I didn't share this? So I began sharing this product with a lot of different people. Now we call it, take it to make it, because that's what these do. These get your body to turn on the innate ability of your body to make the things that it's supposed to make. Now, LifeVantage created other products. One of it made was collagen. Now, one of the toughest patients I've ever had are family. And my wife had a plantar fasciitis type thing going on for several years. I work on it to get better. I work on it to get better. When they released collagen, I was like, what is this? Right? Because she'd been taking this bucket of collagen that many of you guys have seen from, these big box stores. And, because it's supposed to help your skin, hair, and nails, right? Because that's what they're told. She starts taking this activated collagen, and within just a short period of time, the pain she was having in her feet and legs were gone. And it vastly changed everything about how her body repaired. Now, following the same philosophy of the Protandim Nerve 2, this turned on the genes in your body to make the collagen. For her, even though she was taking collagen, it wasn't activating the body's ability to make the collagen, so she wasn't getting the results. There's tons of individuals that had phenomenal stories. Maybe Dr. Brian will share one of hers here in a minute about the results of that same. But we see massive changes in the skin, hair, and nails like we should. But everything that supports and creates structure in your body is made of collagen. So if you're a human and you're not having an activated liquid collagen, you're not repairing at the level that you could. Well, everything LifeVantage does, it activates the body to do what it's designed to do. So we went back in the science room and said, can we make something that helps your body actually turn on the body's ability to lose weight? Because over 50% of Americans are actually trying to lose weight, are actually pre-diabetic. And close to 80% are actually trying to do something to modify their weight. This is called the mind-body system because it works in the mind and the body, because this hormone made in your gut affects your mind and your body and how you see food, your relationship with food, but also how you burn and store fat. Here's just a few pictures of individuals and the results that we've seen. Now, the reason why we're here tonight is because why in the world would healthcare providers look at using LifeVantage, making it part of maybe their practices and part of their life? When I began this journey 10 years ago, I was out in a very successful career, but one thing I did not have was time. I had a busy practice, 15 employees, and when I went on vacation, it was super stressful because I knew I had a ton of overhead still going on. And even though I was, getting great results with patients, loved what I did, it just felt like that was never going to end. Like, how do I get time for myself? It wasn't until I saw this little guy have this massive change where I started putting people on the product that many of I treated for over a decade and seeing them have results I wasn't getting, that I knew that it was something very different about how these products were made. This activates the genes, and we didn't have the ability with all the testing we've done in the past to be able to actually do what these products did. That built my confidence in the products. Now, I was very unfamiliar with network marketing, very familiar with, entrepreneurship, very familiar with business because I've been doing it, since the early 2000s when I began practice. And what I knew was I got paid when I went to work. And if I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. Well, when I starting to see these changes in individuals in my patients' lives, I ended up having an injury to my knee. And I was supposed to stay off my knee for a couple months to get for it to repair. There's no way I can do that as a entrepreneur, as a practitioner. Like, to do that would crush my business. So I did what I had to do, which was go to work. But at the same time, my good friend that introduced me to this is her son that had the master results. We sat down and said, look, how did you build this business? Like, how did you share this message? And because I knew the products were real, but I didn't know the business was real. So we went to work sharing this message with people all across, in the first, the state of Arizona, that has spread throughout the world. And in 3 years of doing that, that gave me the opportunity to have time. It allowed me to sell my big practice and then to focus on building this business and taking this message out the world. Because one thing as a clinician, especially a chiropractor, most people aren't coming to me unless somebody refers them to me. This allowed me to spread my influence a lot further and help a lot more people, and to build an income to when people use the products, I was getting paid on it. What this means for me and my family is giving me more time to be with them. It's created a very different, cushion, what I call pillow factor for me, to know I'm going to have money coming in every month, because I build an engine of products being utilized, people having success, and build a team to share it forward, so that I can go out and do the things that I love, but have time with my family. Now, if you're a physician or a healthcare provider and you love helping people, and you've wondered, like, is there any way that I'm ever going to get ahead? Well, this may be something for you. Um, as the company of LifeVantage, we're a debt-free company. We've been in the business for 20 years. We're a debt-free. We're on the New York Stock Exchange. Go ahead and look at the numbers of what we're doing. But if you're looking for a place where you can have a community and an organization and a support, where you can have a bigger impact and a global impact, that's what this can allow you to do. Through this process, I've met a bunch of phenomenal individuals. It's allowed me to help patients I wasn't able to help. But it's also allowed me to be on the scientific advisory board with some amazing individuals. One you're going to meet just here in a second, and to hear what led them to LifeVantage and the impact that we're having globally. And so what I want you guys to do, is to take a really honest look at the science behind the products, but also look at the business and the impact that it can have in your life and your family's life for years to come, and know that it's real. I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Dr. Nancy Bryan. I met her, probably I don't know, probably almost 10 years ago, when I first got involved in the business. I went to this room of doctors that were part of LifeVantage and network marketing, and I started hearing these individuals that have way more credentials than I do, that have been around the field a really, really long time. And Dr. Bryan had a very unique background in that she's a doctor of pharmacy, but not only in the human sciences, but in the animal sciences. I'm just excited for you to hear her personal story of what this has done for her, and really the vision of what she has and what she sees this is going to do for all of us. So, Dr. Bryan, please take it away.
So much. Can you hear me? So great to hear from you. And Brett, like you, I'm just so blessed and honored to be here. I wasn't looking for this. Been very successful in my career, taking care of animals all over the world and taking care of people, but it was always in my heart to take care of people. So much so, though, like you, early on, I was so busy that it resulted in me being very ill. And when I say very ill, I mean it was questionable whether or not I was going to live. And through that process, I ended up being on chemotherapy, several medications. And while I did get through it, I was not thriving by any means. I was in a very, very bad place. And like you, I have always looked at it from a perspective of how I can make a difference for others. And I knew very early on, because of my background in molecular biochemistry before pharmacy, that it was going to be more about helping people with nutrients than it was medications. Yes, I knew all the medications, and there's a place and time sometimes that we have to have those. But I was seeing more and more of our culture leading toward that. And then when I got really sick, I thought, oh my gosh, this has been too much for my body. Well, here's what I will tell you. I am so grateful because I had a dear friend of mine who was a surfer, okay? Not a doctor, not a scientist, not anybody that had any background in anything that I had. But we both, after I went through all the chemo, both of us ended up with melanomas, and I was terrified. And so he asked me to take a look at a study. And you know how you talked about those 30 plus peer-reviewed studies that we have? One of them was done by LSU, and it happened to be about melanomas with our NRF2 protandem by name. Studies don't happen that way. And I thought to myself when I looked at the information, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to give it a whirl and see what happens. And you know what was crazy? My blood work had always been so bad. I was just not in a great place. And I will tell you that the first thing that happened is within literally a few weeks, I was already feeling better, which was incredible. It meant a lot to me because I always had a lot of energy. I was always the ever ready bunny, and I was not in that place. And I'm telling you, I could feel that coming back. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I called the company and asked them a bunch of questions, which I'm sure they didn't appreciate. But more importantly, I just kept going. And I thought, you know what? This is making a difference. Well, it was a very short time later. I had to get blood work done all the time. And when I had my blood work done, the doctor's office called me and told me I had to get my blood work done again. And I'm like, are you kidding? You already just took 6 tubes of blood. I can't do this again. And they're like, no, you have to because the lab messed up. And I'm like, what? So I go in and I get it done again. Well, guess what? My blood work had changed so much. We talk about the power of our own body. And when my body got the proper nutrients, it started doing what it was supposed to again. And it activated me to a point where I was having terrific feeling of getting back to myself. Well, when the doctor came in at my visit, the first thing he said to me is, you have to explain this to me. I have no earthly idea how your blood work can be that bad, that long, and now it's okay. What is going on? And so it was from that point on, what I didn't know is his wife had some issues, and he got started utilizing the products in some very difficult patients. And you know what? I got to realize the importance that our body takes care of itself through that inflammation process. That's our body's way of taking care of itself. But when it gets out of control, guess what? We have to find the ways to get it back to where it's supposed to be normal again. And what I love is we are nutrigenomics, nutrients to help those genes so our body activates again back to what we're supposed to. And you know what? I don't share this with a lot of people, but they did not give me a very good prognosis. And I can tell you that I am so happy to be able to be here today, to be able to talk about these products. And when I started seeing the results, like you, I knew I had no other choice. I had to share these with other people. I didn't need another business. I didn't need another thing to keep me too busy. But what I did know in my heart was that I had a moral obligation. And what happened to me, I knew could give other people hope. And that's the thing that I've continued to do along with the rest of our medical professionals. And I'm so proud to be able to be part of this company and to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love the results you had, Dr. Nancy, and this the impact that you're having globally. If you guys, her knowledge is unreal. It's just fun to talk with her and listen and learn from her. We are super grateful you guys came here to listen with us tonight. I want to end with a couple quick things. Nancy, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just so grateful. I didn't know if you had any more questions for me at all. But most importantly, it's a leap of faith. There's so many things out there. And I think that the biggest thing that got me to really understand this company and why I ended up on the science board is I can't say enough about there's so many other products out there. What this company does is unprecedented in terms of what we have, in terms of how we go ascertain our raw ingredients and make sure that they have active components in them. Other people don't do that. Other products out there may say they have turmeric or ashwagandha or whatever, but they don't have the very best portion of those plants. And I guess that's the one thing I do want to add is that there's a lot of products out there, but you don't even know because of regulations what's really in the bottle. And what I love is our quality controls are, there's nothing like them. There's nothing like our science board in terms of having people like you and myself. We donate our time to this. We give our expertise and our knowledge and help each other and each other's groups and the whole company because of the passion and understanding. We know that the quality controls, we know we're going to get the same result over and over. That is really difficult to see when you have other products out there. And it's a very important thing to know and understand of what does set our products apart. Many other things, they're synthetic, they're not real plant parts. And those are all the important things that I looked at that I knew were going to be the important thing for me. And I'm so grateful at this point in my life to be healthy and to be able to help so many other people.
You really are. And I love what you said there too, because to have a natural product be consistent enough to have patents on it just doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And to the things they go through to create this. And one, I love that we're a global company. And now as a clinician and what we've done, each Dr. Nancy, both her and I have, we've been out in the trenches like everybody else. Most physicians, I have a couple, my dad's a doctor, chiropractor, I have a brother orthopedic surgeon, I have a brother that's a dentist. All of us want to help people. I have a sister-in-law that's a PT. I have a sister that's a massage therapist. We're all in the medical, a lot of us in the medical space. We're all tied to what we can get done in a day. And our impact used to be local.
Mm.
Now, what we have the capacity to do with LifeVantage and through network marketing is partner with each of you. Each of you here may have thought of somebody that you knew. Maybe you're the child that's struggling. Maybe it's somebody you know that you've heard of that has some skin stuff going on. Maybe it's somebody that just wants to look younger or feel healthier, somebody that wanted to lose weight, right? And like, I wonder if this will help them. What I truly believe is your level of vibrancy, your level of like energy, your level of, you know, health is directly proportionate to how well your genetic pathways work, how active they are. And if you're taking products or doing things to enhance how your body functions with LifeVantage and their products, you don't have to guess if they work because we know based on how they're formulated that you're going to activate genetic pathways. I love having that confidence because of what I've seen clinically. But I also love that I can take this message, and there's never been a better time to do it because I have people coming all the time. And guess what? Guess what this influencer said about this, or my influencer said about that. Every single one of us has an impact and influence. So why not promote something that's going to impact people's life in a healthy way? Partner with amazing individuals in science to create a business that can actually perpetuate for years after you're gone. So just again, Angie, thanks for letting us be a part of this. Hopefully this gives physicians a chance, like go ahead, do your homework on the science, guys, or guys and gals, do your homework, but also do your homework on the business side, on like,
Yep.
what other things can you do that can create a recurring revenue every single month? So that when you need time to be where you really need to be and want to be, that can do that. And that's what this business has allowed both of us. So appreciate you guys. And just please do your homework, get back to who invited you, take a serious look at this, and if nothing else, watch the ride because it's going to be awesome.